terrorists, so neither. In fact, what do? We try to see how to use drone technology within the regular operations of the companies. So today I'll be talking a little bit about what we call the new digital reengineering. Some of you may know the term reengineering. It was used first time in late 80s to describe the whole revolution which was going on around informatization of the companies. So once the companies could implement systems, some smart consultants came to them and say, do not copy your current processes while implementing the IT system. Think differently. Think what the IT technology can give you and try to optimize these processes. And the start of this process was in late 80s with the book Reengineering the Organization, by the way, written by one of my colleagues. We then bought the whole release of the book, so the book got to the first place in New York Times, and that was the start of reengineering. Now, no one reads books, so I have to travel and talk about. But in fact, we are now talking about what this kind of the tool of equipment like drones can change within the operations of the company. Okay, and there are three main themes when we talk about drones. First, it's digitalization. So in fact, drone is just a tool to capture data which were not available before and which we now can use within the company to improve processes, to improve decision-making processes. It's about robotization, so it's about what the drone can do, how long they can fly, how smart they can be, and it's about machine learning, so how we can teach this machine to work autonomously without any control from the man. Some of you may have seen the movie which was played during the break. There were 4 drones building a rope bridge, and that was an experiment done this year in Switzerland in laboratorium. The thing is, there was no man to control them. There was only the artificial intelligence who got the design of the bridge and who got the parameters what this drone can do, and they were steered by this artificial intelligence to build the rope. We can have a short preview. And if you imagine that they are not in the lab and they are not building the rope bridge, but they are somewhere out there building energy lines, for example, you can think how powerful this technology can be to support the processes of our companies. Okay, I think we can switch to the presentation. That can be played afterwards as well. So maybe I'll start with introducing a little bit myself. I'm a partner within consulting PwC. I'm based in Warsaw, and I'm leading the Global Center for Excellence, which is called Drone Power Solution. This is the first Global Center of Excellence established within our firm as a global investment to work and to provide to our clients solutions based on drones. We operate already 2 years. Poland was chosen not by accident. In fact, don't know why, but it appeared that we were the first one globally to have the full legislation dedicated to drones, and it was back in 2013. So since 2013, it's completely legal to fly drones, to use them in the operations, to ensure these operations, and also a lot of international corporations started to test drones in Poland as a testing field. Now, similar legislation, I'm not sure what is the situation here in Serbia. I think it's incoming. In the US, such legislation was implemented just 2 months ago. So it's a completely new thing. And in fact, what we focus on is on how to use these drones and what are the new possibilities, for example, for data analytics, when we can gather data with the drones. And my presentation will be a little bit about this. I believe that pretty soon there will be much more similar teams, not only in consulting, but within other industries like insurance, like telecommunication, and it works quite simply. We think with our clients how to use drones and data within their business processes. Let's take an example of insurance company. If there is a disaster, if there is something, infrastructure, for example, a road is damaged by the flood, they can either send a person there who take a lot of pictures, but the information is not very accurate because he's on the ground, or we can send a drone, take a large picture, generate 3D models out of this, generate some information, compare automatically with the previous state, and within really quick time we can see what is the likely size of the damage, what should be the pay to the owner of the infrastructure. So in fact that's what we do. We advise the companies how to use these drones in their processes, not accidentally but as a regular process. We fly drones, yes. We use in fact professional subcontractors, but we fly drones. We gather data, we process them. The process of processing image data is called photogrammetry. So from the thousands of images we can come up to the 3D models, to orthophoto maps. Orthophoto map is something you see at Google Maps. But at Google, these maps are typically 2 years old and the accuracy is around 30 centimeters, so it's not very useful for the daily processes within the industries. What we can get here with the drones is around 8 millimeters. So it's really very precise. And then we deliver this data to clients supporting their processes. Using such apps, pretty similar to the one this guy on the movie had, the military one. So he could say, the lady selling breads, we rather see whether the pipeline is not leaking or whether the truck is being constructed accordingly to the project. So pretty much more boring, but quite helpful. If you think about whether really there's a market for such usages, whether really the traditional companies as telecoms or mining corporation would use drones, so I think there's a lot. There's a lot, especially around infrastructure, when you can support a lot of processes. If we think about telecommunication, for example, drones are used in a very good way to maintain the masts, the antennas, because once you fly a drone around, you can generate 3D models, so quite accurately you can see what equipment is hanging there, what is the status, whether it is damaged or not, and it's done much more quicker and in more accurate way than you could do that with the use of human support. Drones are becoming also more and more used in the construction sector, where initially in the construction you have a lot of stakeholders. You have financing institutions, investors, owners of the infrastructure, which is build, construction companies, subcontractors. And the key issue in this sector is that at the end, every time something goes wrong, every time there's a delay or a problem, and if there is no good documentation, they are not able to sort out what was going on. So we are working with such solutions for construction companies, supervising and surveilling the construction of different infrastructure with our solution, with our tool, being able to provide them with very accurate and up-to-date information on how does it work. Same in agriculture. If you think about a field which you have to spray, you can either do it traditionally, send the tractor and it will spray chemicals over the whole field, or you can send a drone with some sensors to see infrared, so-called vegetation indexes. So in this spectrum you see which of the crops at the field are really suffering. So then you can spray only 10% of the field. So it's better for the environment, it's less costly, and it improves the whole process. Same with pipeline monitoring, same with security mining. If you think about open mine pits, when you have to control all the area to prevent any damages or movement of earth, then using drones every day and generating 3D models, you can see how does it work. You can also count your equipment, do anything you'd like. So in fact, drones being the tools to gather images and then processing of these images makes the drone power solutions, how we call it. And it's a second wave of digitalization. As I said, we are providing these services already in Poland for 2 years, so we also have some effects. So the best outcome of use of drone power services is the awareness, because we can get to the places when no one could get before, like if you have these large open pit mines, and to see very detailedly what's going on. Use the satellite imaging it's not comparable, because it's like the pixel is 20 centimeters like. It increases safety. I remember my first project, which was done for the gas transmission company, the largest in Central Eastern Europe. They're operating thousands of kilometers of gas pipelines, that they are building them as well, these huge pipelines. And on the first flight, and it was 2 years ago, and the management board of the company was very skeptical about using drones, because they said it's a toy, I don't think it can work. So at the very first footage, we got a worker who was sitting on a pipe without his helmet, smoking a cigarette. And there was a welding machine nearby. So once we showed this to the client, it appeared that we can not only support progress monitoring, but also many other processes within the company from the same data source. The results of our work also provided a great support to litigation. As I said, in every investment project, there's always litigation between investor and construction company, insurance company, investor, and so on and so on. And typically, the one who gets better data wins. So in our case, our clients were winning 100% of the cases when they were using our data. It also helps in some occasions to avoid penalties, and especially if you think about road construction, rail construction, or energy line construction, there's very likely that this infrastructure will be going through environmentally protected zones or through other owners' plots. And I'm not sure if it's typical just for Poland or not, but if there were a road construction going on and they put a little bit of sand on the agriculture of the farmer's plot, he was getting to the investor and saying that they destroyed, I don't know, 10 hectares of his very expensive crops, and the farmer was claiming huge penalty and money for that. So with our tools, we were able to see or to show that it was not 10 hectares, but 10 square meters, no crops, just grass and so on. So there are a lot of very practical benefits of the use of such solutions. And I'm sorry, I cannot move it. So maybe a question why we decided to focus on this, because I'm drone passionate, but in fact our corporation tries to pretend that we are Google-like, so tries to motivate employees like me, but in fact we rather try to put investment where the huge market can appear. And we believe that this kind of drone power solutions is a huge future market. Just a couple of months ago, we have published globally a first, within PwC, but also first on a market, very extensive report on the types of commercial applications of drones, also evaluating what is the addressable market of these solutions. Addressable market means what will be the value of these solutions. We estimated till 2020. It will be growing because it can only grow if in a given country we have a legislation, like we had in Poland, like now it was introduced in US. So I have a couple of words here, so if you'd like to take it, please do not hesitate after my speech. It's also on our website, www.dronepoweredsolutions.com. And within this report, working with our colleagues from industry groups, different industry groups around the globe, we have tried to estimate what will be the value of this market in 2020. We estimated it taking current services, current labor, and new services which can appear. And as you can see, we got to $127 billion. Of course, you can say we tried to promote our service this way, but just a week after, Goldman Sachs, so the investment bank in the US, issued pretty similar report. Their estimation is $110 billion. And we have not talked about this before, so I assume both both companies get to the same value. The majority of that is within all related to infrastructure, so railways, gas pipelines, roads, then agriculture, transportation, security, media and entertainment, of course, media and entertainment being the first sector to implement such solutions, and the others. So if I were you, just after the conference, I would just go directly to the store and buy one drone to start experimenting. The value, I'm sorry, could you? There was, by the way, quite nice media coverage, and personally we were very proud here in Central Eastern Europe. We have one unit in Central Eastern Europe, and it was the first report issued from here, but populated around the whole world, and really nice newspapers has mentioned that we have this group. It's probably getting a little bit back, sorry. Just wanted to hear again. It's probably the value of the services in each of the sectors is quite detailedly explained in our report, so you can see there what are the processes which are likely to be put on the drone-based solutions. And it's a hell lot of money, to be honest. Just a little case study to show you a little bit better how it can work within the company, how the company can transform using such solutions. So it's about Gas System. Gas System is the Polish company who owns all the transmission gas pipelines going through the country, a couple of thousands or a dozen of thousands of kilometers. And they were building 2 years ago, last year and this year, about 1,000 kilometers of the pipe annually. You can think that building a pipeline is easy thing. It's not, to be honest, because you have to go through all the protected areas. You cannot cross it with other infrastructure, or if you cross it, you have to be very sure that everything was built cautious, because there is a huge risk of explosion if the pipeline is not built properly. So at that time, they had about 500 people around Poland going to all the construction sites, and typical construction size is 10 kilometers to 15 kilometers, each construction delivered by another construction company, all selected in public procurement process, so company has not so much influence on who will be selected, so they had to survey it quite well. So these 500 people were surveying at the ground, but the results were not very good. Majority of the construction sites at the moment when we came were delayed by 20 to 40%. There were a couple of pretty serious accidents, including one death just year before. There was an explosion on one of the construction sites, so the image was not very good. We worked for 3 months with the company, with different people from the company, different directors from different units, to understand what are the current processes from the construction supervision, health and safety, environmental protection, all others, to develop the solution, which was based on drones. So currently they have only 50 people sitting in one place, some kind of shared service center, and they have drones flying over each of the construction sites weekly. Data are processed and sent to the group sitting at the shared service center. They're working on a software, and they can see and measure every aspect of the construction. So for example, top left corner, it's just information, a picture, it's a trench and a pipe there, and it's quite important to measure how deeply pipe is put in the trench because of the tension of earth put then on it. So they are using software to do that. They do construction progress monitoring, so what is the progress week to week. They verify the conformity with construction plans, because the products we provide them, so 3D models and so-called orthophoto maps, so these thousands of pictures put together and set geographical coordinates, are integrated with the original design, so the software tells if something is going wrong. And they also use it for systematic documentation gathering for the future maintenance processes. So over last year, there were average delays of only 5% compared to 30 before. There was no accidents during that time, and they won 2 cases in court against the construction companies because they have really good data. At the beginning, we thought that the construction workers would be shooting to drones, and they were very angry at the very beginning seeing drones flying over them. But just after 1 or 2 months, all the construction companies owners came to us and asked if they can have access to the same data, because they've seen that it can help also their operations. I should use telecom case study, but I thought probably using other sector would be interesting. So that's a little bit about the new wave of reengineering, digital change, which is starting now within many industries. The common point is that this is drone-based, and that was drone-powered solutions. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, I invite you to take one of the reports. Thank you very much.